Hey everyone, it's me again. If you're new to my channel, I'm Zara. Nice to meet you, and I hope you enjoy my video. So today I wanted to speak to you all about something that happened about 5 years ago. And if you haven't guessed from the title, then it's when I found out I was pregnant and how my pregnancy went. So I thought about doing this video for a while because I know a lot of people who are pregnant, thinking about getting pregnant and so on, always want to know other people's pregnancy stories and how their birthing was and so on and so forth. So I thought, let me do a video and see if people can get any information from me that they need. And also it opens up dialogue for any comments that want to be left after the video. So let's get down to it. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was actually still at university. I was in my final year, and I was very happy. I know some people weren't, like my mum and stuff, and it's understandable because obviously I still hadn't finished university. I did end up taking a year, deferring my last year basically, for a year so that I could have the baby and just chill for a while with the baby before I went back to university. Which actually did work out in the end. Although I didn't really want to do it, it was probably the best idea at the time. First things first, I found out I was pregnant, and it wasn't until I actually went to a sexual health clinic to actually be tested that they said that I was pregnant. Then I had to go to the doctors, who then verified that I was pregnant, and I was then referred by the doctor to the local midwives at my local health centre. And at the health centre, what happens is you go there, remember exactly how often it is, but it's quite regular. You go there and you'll get a checkup, so see how well your baby's heartbeat is, and they check your bloods, see how much you're growing. If the baby's growing as well as it should be, they obviously also measure the baby through measuring your stomach. I went to my first one of them, I remember, and they give you this yellow book, and in this book it has a record of everything that they take down, so like your weight and your height and all that information about the baby's growth and so on. My pregnancy was quite good actually. I didn't have morning sickness, so I was really lucky. I know a lot of people suffer with quite really bad morning sickness, but I was really lucky. I wasn't a risk, so I was lucky in that respect as well. However, during the pregnancy, there was a couple of times that I did have to go to the hospital because I couldn't feel any movement. And I think it was around the 6-7 months mark. So when at that stage your baby's moving quite a bit and you know how much they move, you're aware of what times they were awake and what times they're sleeping. I know it sounds really weird, but you are, because of the movement patterns over the course of your pregnancy. You get to know your child's patterns in your womb. So there was times where she wouldn't move for hours. So a couple of times I had to go up to the hospital. I think the last time that it happened, I was about 8 months or something. I was quite close to the end. And just to say, a pregnancy is 10 months. It's 40 weeks. It is not 9 months. I don't know why they say 9 months, because it isn't. It's actually 10. It's 40 weeks they frame your pregnancy in. So yeah, so it was around the 8-month mark. I went into the hospital because she wasn't moving again, and they actually got quite nervous and wanted to keep me in for a while. They were doing checks on me, and they actually thought I was in labour. because I was having a little bit of pain. But it turned out that I actually wasn't. And the baby was fine, the baby was healthy. She just didn't want to move. So anyway, getting down to the actual birth, I chose to have I wanted to have a water birth. So that meant that I would use a birthing centre in the local hospital. It was actually the same hospital that I was born, because I still live in the same area. I was very lucky to have a risk-free pregnancy where I could have a birthing centre birth, because in order to have one, there can't be any risk to your pregnancy. You can't have any type of pain relief other than gas and air, and I think it's diamorphine. You can't have anything other than that. I chose to have a water birth because I had been watching One Born Every Minute religiously every week that it was this for that season that it was on during my pregnancy, which all my friends thought I was mad. The people that had, my friends that had children already thought I was crazy because they thought it would really scare me. But it didn't. For me, it was insightful. I like to have the information in order to be prepared for what's coming. And the more prepared I am, I feel like I'm ready. If I don't have the information, then I feel unprepared, and then it's more likely that I'm going to panic. So I was watching One Born Every Minute religiously, and it really did prepare me for that birth, because as you'll find out in me continuing, it wasn't a difficult birth. So basically, the day that I went into labour, it's going to get really horrible here. So there's something called a mucus plug. Now, if you've had children, you may know what it is. So when a lady's about to go into labour, it could be, I think it's up to like 3 days. It could be up to 3 days before labour begins. You can lose your mucus plug, which is this mucusy thing that comes out when you notice it when you go to the toilet. And that is an indication that you're starting your labour. So what happened was that I went shopping. I remember, I think I came out of Morrison's, went home and realised that I had lost my mucus plug. And I actually remember saying to my partner, yeah, I'm going to have her. She's coming soon. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, I did find out I was having a girl at my second scan. And then what happened was I went to bed that night, and then at, what time was it? It was around 7:30 in the morning, my contractions started. They wasn't that major, but I knew it was contractions because I don't suffer with any sort of period pain or anything. So I kind of just knew that was what it was, because like I said, I'd done my research. I found out the information. I could kind of just guess that that's what it was. I was timing it. I started to time it. And my partner was also just trying to calm me down, keep me calm. And I remember I couldn't sit down. I just remember walking up and down my flat at the time. Just couldn't sit down. And I wasn't necessarily in pain. It was just excitement. It was like, okay, she's coming. Like she's actually come in. And I was just walking up and down the flat, walking up and down. And I remember he started really panicking, like seriously panicking. And it was like, oh, I need to call an ambulance. We need to get you to the hospital now. So I called the midwives at the hospital in the birthing centre, told them that I had started contracting, and they were saying to me, well, basically to stay at home as long as possible until my contractions get to a certain minutes apart, and this but then to come in Now, this was because I had something called strep. I can never say this properly. Streptococcus B or something. I think that's how you say it. It's apparently in quite a few people, and you will just never know that you had it, but it can be quite detrimental for your child. And obviously, throughout my pregnancy, I was told that I would need to be treated for it during my labor before I gave birth, so that the baby wasn't basically given this thing. I don't know. Apparently, were you just born with it? When I looked it up myself after I had been told it, because obviously I was scared. It was just something that we would never know that we had, but wasn't contracted from anything. It's just in us. So anyway, my partner ended up calling the ambulance, which we actually got in trouble for. We got to the hospital and the nurses said, "Oh, you shouldn't have called the ambulance. It wasn't an emergency. You could have just got a cab or got on the bus or something." So anyway, went into the birthing centre, got my suite, and do you know what? It is lovely in there. It's such a big room, and you have a separate bathroom also attached to your bedroom, so it's like an ensuite. So the room is like, you could probably fit a few double beds in there. It's really big. There's a big, and obviously the pool is in pool where where you have your water birth. The pool is in there. Your double bed, so that you and your partner can stay. And there was like a ball, one of them big exercise balls that you can bounce on to help you with your contractions. And there was also this other thing there that I have no idea what it was for, because I couldn't use any of them. The ball I just kept on falling off of. I found that the best way to help with the pain, although it wasn't that bad, was just to walk up and down, just to not stay or sit too long. Although I would, at the beginning, I did have to be treated for the Streptococcus B. So I was pretty lucky. Like my mum, my partner at the time, my cousins all came up and they spent some time with me, waiting for me, obviously, to give birth. And the time just seems to just be going, and she just didn't want to come out. I was dilating, but just very slowly. And I remember my mum kept on like going home and coming back and bringing us food. I remember I had KFC, I think, and then I think we had McDonald's as well. Yeah, I just remember being really hungry, like super hungry. I just wanted to eat and eat and eat. It must have been quite late in the night by now, maybe like, I don't know, 12 or something. I can't really remember, but I remember my mum was about to leave, or it was around the time my mum was going to leave, and the midwife came in and she was saying, "Look, you've been contracting since 7:30 in the morning, and it's now 12 midnight or whatever the time was. I really think you should have a diamorphine injection to help with speeding up the labour." And I was so against it because I really didn't want to do any drugs. I didn't want to have any type of pain relief. I just wanted to have a natural birth. I did get quite a lot of pressure. My mum was saying to take it. My partner was saying to take it. The nurse was saying to take it. It felt like everyone was getting, on my back to take this diamorphine. And it actually made me quite irritated, to the point that I actually started crying a bit. And I'm not someone that cries at all, not easily. But I felt quite frustrated. and I believe I said no. So they left it. My mum left. I think we went to sleep. Oh, my partner went to sleep. I was watching the TV, and I remember the time was just going and going and going, and nothing was happening. Obviously, I was still contracting, but I wasn't dilating. So I called my partner. I kind of nudged him and said to him, "Do you think I should take the diamorphine just to speed up the labour, because this is going on quite a long time now?" He said, "Just take it, you know, let's get her out." So I called the midwife, and she gave me the injection. It's not very nice. It's an injection in your bum, and it hurts. So she gave me the injection, and I remember falling asleep. And it couldn't have been for that long, maybe like 20 minutes. And I remember waking up needing to go to the toilet, and literally as soon as I stepped off of the bed, stood there to walk off, my waters broke. And I mean, they gushed out. And I just remember just panicking and saying, "Ah!" And I woke him up, and he was like, don't worry. And he started pressing the bell for the midwife to come, say, "Look, her waters are broken." He's trying to help me. He's like, go in the bathroom. I'll clean this up. So anyway, when I came out of the bathroom, the midwife had come. And they wanted to check to see how far I dilated. And it's crazy because I dilated 10 centimeters. And I believe before that I was something like 4 or 5. So the diamorphine actually did help me to progress the labour. So she got another midwife to come in, or a nurse, I believe, and we started to I started to have the baby. So this is really graphic, so if you don't like it, then I suggest you stop this video. So basically, I was lying on my back to deliver her, and this was ridiculous to me. It wasn't working. She would not, like, her head was not coming out, and it was just causing me pain. So I decided to get on my knees and stick my bum in the air and push her out that way. And she came out within 5 minutes. So I ended up having her at 1 minute to 7 in the morning. So I literally had something like 23.5 hour labour. But she came out screaming very loudly. She was I just remember her limbs being really long, and she was really, like, she wasn't a chubby baby, she was quite a slim baby. And they wrapped her up and put her in my arms. And when you give birth, you also have to give birth to the placenta, so you have to stay where you are. You can't get up and walk around, you have to lie there. So as I was giving birth to the placenta, they took the baby to be weighed. So she was 5 pounds 4 ounces. She was a very little baby. She was literally tiny. She was just so small. I just remember her just being so small, and I just remember thinking, how do I do anything with her? She's so little, because normally babies are 6, 7, 8 pounds, and she was 5. She was so small, but she had the lungs of an opera singer. She was just so loud. I remember one of the midwives actually saying to me, she's the loudest baby that I've ever heard, and I've been midwifing for years. Yeah, so then after she was weighed, she was given back to me, and I had already given birth to placenta before that, so I was able to just lie there for a while, and you have to just lie there just to let your body calm because it's a major stress on your body, obviously. And I believe I breastfed her straight away. She latched on straight away. I was very lucky. And if you have noticed, I did not get to have my water birth because of how quick it was from having the diamorphine injection to me actually giving birth to my daughter. They didn't have time to even fill the pool. Unfortunately, I was so upset about that. But at the end of the day, I had a swift, like a really easy delivery, so I can't complain. But I would have preferred to had her in the water just to experience it. But hey, that happens. I think it was about an hour or so later they allowed me to go and, clean up. So I had a shower and stuff and got dressed. And I think about 8:30, I'd say, my friend came up, my best friend. She came up to see my daughter and hold her and stuff, and we took some pictures. And I was really lucky. I was able to walk around. I wasn't in pain. I didn't need stitches. I believe it's because she was so small. So I was okay. And then my other friend came up a little while later. And then my uncle came up. He stayed with us for a little while, and then they went. And then later on that day, it's like, then my mum came, my other cousins, like I had so many cousins there, my aunt and so on was all there to see her, that it got to the point where we couldn't actually have them all in the room at the same time. So some of them had to stay in the visitors' room, and I had to bring her into the visitors' room. Unfortunately, we wasn't able to go home the same day, although I wanted to, and the birthing centre wasn't able to keep us in another night because they needed the room. So because my daughter was born with, basically, the valve in her heart hadn't closed up yet. So what happens is there's a minority of children that are born and the valve of their heart hasn't closed. Usually within an hour of birth, the valve would close, and they can hear it through the stethoscope, I think. When they checked Cayenne's, it wasn't closed, so which meant that they had to monitor her over 24 hours to give it the time it needs to close. And once it's closed, you can leave. And obviously, if it hasn't, then whatever the next stage would be. So I would have to stay in the labour ward, which I was very upset about. Not only could my partner not stay with me, but I would have to obviously be on a wing with other new mothers and their babies. And I didn't want to have to do that because of the noise, and I knew I wouldn't be able to sleep, and I hadn't slept properly for, a day already. So anyway, my family members had to leave once I was put on the labour ward. The visitors' hours had ended. I was very upset that night because the treatment I got from the midwives that were working wasn't nice. They wasn't very accommodating or friendly, considering I had just had a newborn child and I was a new mother as well. I would have expected them to be a bit more helpful and understanding, and they wasn't at all. There were a couple of incidents that occurred that I wasn't happy with, but hey ho, I was able to leave the next day, and my partner came and picked me up, and we got in the cab and we went home, and it was just lovely to be at home with her. And although she screamed so loud all the time, it was nice to finally, after all that time and through everything that happened, be able to have her at our home and be able to just, clean her, change her, feed her, play with her in our own home. It was crazy, but it was exciting. And now she is going to be 5 this year, and it's scary as anything that that amount of time has gone so quickly. But yeah, I hope that this gave you a bit of information about births. Obviously, everyone's birth is different. We all go through different things. We all want different things for our labor and our birth. So if you are considering having a water birth or using a birthing centre, then I would definitely say yes, do it. No, you can't have pain relief other than diamorphine and gas and air. However, you know, it's the environment is so much nicer. The midwives are so much more helpful, and just lovely and understanding and warm and just open. It was just a lovely experience. So I definitely would recommend the birthing centre. But yes, if there's anything you'd like to ask me about my birthing, if there's anything you want to know or about that or anything else, then please do leave a comment. And if you did like it, then please give it a big thumbs up. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.